Have you ever been around someone who didn't yell, didn't fight, but still left you feeling emotionally drained, off balance, or like you couldn't trust your own thoughts anymore? That kind of impact doesn't come from a bad day, it comes from a deeply toxic presence. And sometimes that presence belongs to an evil person. Not someone from a movie or myth, but a real person hiding behind kindness, charm, and calculated words. You see, evil rarely shows up wearing horns or shouting warnings. It walks in smiling, it disarms you with flattery. It blends in, but make no mistake. An evil person manipulates, deceives, and erodes your confidence from the inside out. And unless you know what to look for, they'll keep pulling strings behind the scenes while you question your sanity. But here's the truth. You don't need to be a mind reader to see the signs. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, taught that clarity, reason, and self-control are our best defense. Their timeless wisdom can help you recognize these hidden threats and protect your peace before it's stolen. In this video, we'll uncover 10 unmistakable signs that you're dealing with an evil person, signs you simply can't ignore. These insights will give you the awareness and strength to reclaim your power and guard your energy from those who seek to drain it. Please support the channel by liking and subscribing. It truly helps us grow and reach more people who need this wisdom. Are you ready? Let's dive in. 1. Constant manipulation. Seneca once said, "He who has many fears also has many things to manipulate." It's more than just a clever quote, it's a warning. Because when you're afraid, uncertain, or insecure, that's when an evil person sees their opportunity. Manipulation isn't always obvious. It doesn't come with flashing lights or loud accusations. It comes in soft words, helpful suggestions, and calculated praise. These individuals don't build their influence on truth. They build it on distortion. They twist your reality until you can't tell what's real anymore. I once worked with someone I respected. He was charming, supportive. He made me feel seen. In public, he'd compliment my work, boost my confidence, and act like a team player. But behind closed doors, he slowly started spinning a different story. He would quietly point out my flaws, exaggerate small mistakes, and frame them as serious concerns to others. I didn't notice it right away, because he did it with such subtlety. By the time I realized something felt off, I was already questioning myself. When I confronted him, he didn't raise his voice or deny anything. He simply said he was trying to help me grow. That's when it hit me. I wasn't improving. I was being controlled. And worst of all, I had started to believe I needed his guidance to be good enough. This is what true manipulation looks like. It doesn't just confuse you, it drains your self-belief. It wraps itself in concern and slowly unravels your identity. Manipulators prey on your doubts. They convince you that you can't trust your own thoughts, only theirs. And once they gain that power over your mind, they hold it tightly. But Stoic philosophy gives us a weapon against this kind of deception: clarity. A truly virtuous person will never try to control you. They will empower you. They won't make you feel small so they can feel strong. They'll want you to grow and stand on your own. If someone in your life constantly needs you to follow their lead, always dismisses your boundaries, or makes you feel like you can't succeed without them, that's not help. That's control. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And he was right. When you stop playing their game, when you walk away from their need to control you, you reclaim your freedom. You take back your mind, your peace, your power. You don't need to argue, justify, or defend yourself. You simply need to remember who you are, and that you don't need anyone's approval to feel whole. Let their manipulation fall flat against your clarity. Let your self-respect be your boundary, and let your strength speak louder than their control. 2. A mask of charm. Epictetus once reminded us, appearances, no matter how dazzling, often hide the truth beneath. And few things are more dangerous than charm in the hands of an evil person. Because when their words are polished, their smiles warm, and their presence magnetic, it's easy to let your guard down. They seem too perfect to question, and that's exactly the point. Manipulative people know how to perform. They wear charm like a mask, carefully designed to draw you in, disarm your skepticism, and make you feel seen in a way no one else does. Have you ever met someone who made you feel special from the moment you spoke? Like they understood you, appreciated you, valued your presence more than anyone else ever had. Everything about them felt effortless. the compliments, the empathy, the attention. But over time, you started to sense something wasn't right. You noticed their kindness was inconsistent. Their words felt rehearsed. And when you no longer served their purpose, they suddenly became distant, cold, even critical. That's because their charm wasn't real. It was a tool. A truly evil person doesn't connect to care. They connect to control. They study your needs, your insecurities, your desires, and they mirror them back to you to earn your trust. Once you're emotionally invested, they begin to extract your time, your energy, your loyalty. And when you've given all you can, they vanish, or worse, turn on you. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. And the thoughts of a manipulative person are not pure. Their charm is painted over selfish motives concealed by a polished exterior. I once knew someone who seemed like the best friend anyone could ask for. He made people feel important, constantly complimented others, and always knew the right thing to say. But over time, I watched him shift. When someone no longer had value to offer, he'd stop acknowledging them entirely. And when they were gone, he'd mock them, criticize them, or use their struggles to make himself look stronger. That's when I realized his praise wasn't love, it was leverage. So, how do you protect yourself from this kind of emotional illusion? Start by trusting the subtle signals. If something feels too perfect, if their charm comes too fast, too strong, or seems too calculated, it probably is. Real kindness is quiet, it's consistent, it doesn't need to impress. Stoic philosophy teaches that what is genuine never needs a disguise. The truth doesn't sparkle, it stands solid. If you feel drawn to someone but deep down something feels off, listen to that feeling. Look past the performance. Watch how they treat people who can't offer them anything in return. Do their actions match their words when no one is watching? That's the test of character. An evil person will use charm to control your perception. But once you see through the illusion, their power crumbles. Choose to trust your instincts. Choose to seek truth over flattery. And above all, surround yourself with people whose kindness is real even when no one's looking. 3. Lies without conscience. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." But for an evil person, truth isn't something to honor. It's something to bend. They don't lie by accident. They lie by design. Deceit isn't a mistake for them, it's a lifestyle. And what makes it so dangerous is that their lies are not always grand or obvious. They're subtle, strategic, tailored specifically to shape your view of reality, so they can control how you see the world and, more importantly, how you see them. Have you ever met someone whose stories always seemed just a little too perfect? Whose experiences were always more impressive, more dramatic, or more tragic than anyone else's? I once had a colleague who did exactly that. She told me she had managed an entire project on her own, overcame every challenge single-handedly, and saved the team from failure. She had evidence, emails, even praise she'd gathered. But something didn't add up. When I looked deeper, I discovered she had exaggerated every detail, taken credit for work that wasn't hers, and twisted timelines to fit a false narrative. When I confronted her, she didn't take responsibility. Instead, she told me I had misunderstood, and that I was being overly sensitive. She redirected the blame, introduced new distractions, and turned the situation upside down. And suddenly, I was the one feeling guilty. That's the power of a skilled liar. Evil people lie not just to protect themselves, but to disarm you. They weave false stories, not just to hide the truth, but to make you question your memory, your perception, and your judgment. It's gaslighting, it's manipulation, and it's calculated. Their lies are carefully maintained because each one supports another. But here's what they fear most: the truth. The truth is unshakable. It doesn't need fixing or defending. It simply stands. And while lies require more lies to survive, the truth only needs your courage to be seen. So how do you guard yourself from this kind of deception? Pay attention to the inconsistencies. Do their stories change when the audience changes? Do their actions match their words when they think no one's watching? Are they quick to accuse others but never admit fault? Stoic wisdom teaches us to focus on what we can see, actions, not words, behavior, not intentions. Because actions don't lie. If someone's words constantly shift, but their behavior reveals a pattern of deceit, trust what you observe. Don't be afraid to ask questions. don't be afraid to walk away. Epictetus taught that freedom is found in clarity and in setting boundaries with those who try to confuse you. Honesty isn't just a moral principle, it's a form of strength. And if someone refuses to stand in the truth, they don't deserve a place in your peace. Choose people who speak with integrity. Let go of those who lie with ease. And most importantly, never let someone's deception make you doubt your own clarity. 4. Lack of empath. Seneca once observed, "We are social beings not meant to live for ourselves alone." And yet some people walk among us completely disconnected from that truth. An evil person doesn't lack intelligence or charm, but they often lack the one thing that makes us human: empathy. Without it, relationships aren't built, they're used. Conversations don't connect, they extract. And your pain? It becomes nothing more than background noise in their self-centered world. Have you ever opened up to someone, truly shared your struggles, and instead of meeting your vulnerability with compassion, they shifted the conversation back to themselves? Maybe they dismissed your feelings, or worse, compared your suffering to their own as if it were a competition. I remember sitting across from a friend explaining a personal loss that had left me feeling shattered, and instead of comfort, he replied, "Oh, that's nothing. Let me tell you what I've been through today." At first I told myself he was just having a rough day, but over time I noticed a pattern. Every conversation became a one-way street. My joy was ignored, my pain was deflected, and my presence was only acknowledged when it served his ego. That's not friendship. That's emotional neglect. An evil person is not incapable of understanding what you feel. They're simply uninterested. Unless your experience benefits them, they won't care. They might pretend to listen, but the moment you stop feeding their needs, their attention vanishes. This isn't just emotional immaturity. It's a deliberate choice to remain detached, and sometimes that indifference crosses into something darker, a quiet satisfaction in watching others struggle, a subtle delight in someone else's pain. That's when you know it's more than a lack of empathy, it's a hollow soul. Stoic philosophy teaches us to value reason, virtue, and connection. Marcus Aurelius once said, "No more arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." That starts with empathy. Real connection comes from being present with others, not trying to outshine them or ignore them. If someone consistently dismisses your feelings, minimizes your emotions, or makes you feel like your vulnerability is a burden, take that as a signal. Protect your peace. Value your emotions. And don't apologize for needing real connection. You deserve relationships built on mutual understanding, not emotional imbalance. Don't shrink your voice to make someone else comfortable. Don't stay silent to keep the peace when that silence is costing you your self-worth. You are allowed to expect kindness. You are allowed to walk away from cold hearts. Surround yourself with those who celebrate your joy and stand beside you in pain, because those people reflect the life you're building, not the one you're escaping from. 5. The hunger for control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." But for an evil person, your mind is exactly what they want to conquer. For them, control isn't a desire, it's a need. It fuels their sense of importance, their security, and their fragile ego. And they won't stop until they've stripped you of your independence and reshaped your world to revolve around them. It doesn't always start with dominance. In fact, it often begins with guidance, a helpful suggestion here, a bit of advice there. At first it feels supportive, like they just want what's best for you. But slowly, you begin to notice a shift. You're making fewer decisions on your own. You start second-guessing your choices. You begin to feel like you need their input before taking any step forward. I once knew someone exactly like this. He positioned himself as a mentor, wise, thoughtful, experienced, and at first I was grateful. But over time, his help became control. He'd question every move I made, offer backhanded compliments, and constantly imply I wasn't ready. When I was offered a new opportunity, he told me not to take it, said I wasn't prepared, and I believed him. I passed up a life-changing chance because someone else convinced me I wasn't capable. That wasn't care. That was control. An evil person doesn't want to walk beside you. They want to keep you small, because as long as you're dependent on them, they feel powerful. They'll use guilt to make you stay. They'll use praise to reel you back in. And they'll plant just enough doubt to make you question your ability to lead your own life. It's not love, it's not support, it's domination in disguise. But Stoicism offers a way out. Epictetus taught that true freedom comes from mastering ourselves, not controlling others. And if someone is trying to own your thoughts, shape your decisions, or keep you from growing beyond them, that is not someone who respects you, that is someone who fears losing control. So how do you fight back? You reclaim your inner authority. You begin asking the most important question of all. Does this align with my values? Use that question like a compass. Let it guide you out of manipulation and into clarity. Because your life, your path, and your mind belong to you. And no one, no matter how clever, charming, or helpful they seem, has the right to take that from you. The people who truly care for you won't try to hold you back. They'll cheer you on. They'll support your decisions, even when they're different from their own. They won't shrink you. They'll help you expand. So stand tall. Trust your own judgment and protect the most powerful thing you own, your freedom of mind. 6. Blame games and deflection. Seneca wisely said, "The truth stands on its own without defense. Lies always require a story, and nothing exposes the character of an evil person faster than how they respond to failure. When things go wrong, and they always do, they don't look inward. They don't reflect or take responsibility. They point fingers, they deflect. They reshape the truth to protect their image, even if it means throwing others under the bus. Their first instinct is never accountability. It's always blame." Have you ever worked with someone who always had a way to explain why nothing was ever their fault? Someone who could twist a simple mistake into a conspiracy against them, where they were always the victim, and you somehow ended up the villain. I remember working on a high-stakes project with a close friend. Deadlines were missed, miscommunications piled up, but instead of owning her role in it, she turned on me. She questioned my planning, undermined my leadership, and framed her own missteps as the result of my poor decisions. She said it with a soft voice, almost kindly, like she was offering constructive feedback. But I could feel the blade behind the words. I started doubting myself, wondering if I'd actually failed her. And that's what they want. Blame isn't just about escaping guilt. It's about transferring it. An evil person won't just deny responsibility. They'll rewire the entire situation to make themselves look innocent. They'll create chaos, and when the dust settles, they'll step back looking like the one who tried to help. It's manipulative, it's calculated, and it leaves you confused, drained, and questioning your reality. But here's where Stoic wisdom becomes your lifeline. Marcus Aurelius taught that the truth doesn't need to shout, it simply is. When you stay rooted in clarity, you begin to see through the fog of blame. So what do you do when someone keeps shifting responsibility your way? You stay calm, you don't react emotionally, because that's what they're hoping for. You anchor yourself in facts, you hold firm to your observations, you speak with clarity and let your integrity do the talking. Evil people thrive on emotional chaos. They want you flustered, defensive, unsure. But when you respond with self-control, they lose their grip. You don't have to fix their lies. You don't have to carry their guilt. Your only job is to stay honest, stay grounded, and refuse to play their game. When someone refuses to own their actions, it's not your job to make them change. It's your job to protect your peace. Accountability is the mark of strength, and those who avoid it at all costs, they reveal exactly who they are. Choose truth, choose clarity, and never let someone else's blame become your burden. 7. The pleasure of pain. Epictetus once said, "Associate with those who make you better." It sounds simple, but what happens when the people around you don't just fail to uplift you? They quietly enjoy your downfall. One of the most chilling traits of an evil person is their capacity to take pleasure in the suffering of others. It might not always be obvious. It doesn't always come with laughter or mockery. Sometimes it's just a glance, a smirk, a strange sense of satisfaction when someone else is struggling. And the worst part? They'll often act like they're helping, even as they tear you down. Have you ever shared a painful experience with someone only to sense that they weren't really listening, they were enjoying it? I once had a friend who would always be the first to ask, "How are you holding up?" whenever something went wrong. She sounded supportive, empathetic even, but I started noticing something strange. She never showed the same concern when things were going well. In fact, she seemed almost distant when I was happy, but fully engaged when I was hurting. She lit up when she heard bad news about others. She shared their failures with a spark in her eye, as if their pain made her feel more secure. That's when I realized she wasn't seeking connection. She was seeking superiority. That's the defining trait of someone who takes pleasure in pain. They don't build themselves through effort or growth. They build themselves by watching others fall. They use gossip, sarcasm, subtle jabs, or backhanded compliments to chip away at the confidence of the people around them. And when someone fails, they don't offer support. They secretly celebrate. But what they're really exposing is their own emptiness, because only someone deeply insecure needs others to lose in order to feel like they're winning. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity." Evil people don't grow from hardship, they weaponize it, and they'll try to drag you down into their bitterness, hoping you'll stay small so they don't have to rise. But Stoic philosophy gives us a way out. You don't need to match their negativity. You don't need to fight fire with fire. What you need is distance, detachment, and the discipline to walk away without needing revenge or validation. How do you spot someone who enjoys your pain? Watch how they respond to your joy. Do they support you when you succeed? Do they uplift others with sincerity? Or do they retreat, criticize, or deflect? Pay attention, because this kind of behavior is never an accident. It's a reflection of a deeper problem they haven't faced. You deserve to be surrounded by people who celebrate your wins, who hold space for your pain without using it against you. People who don't just tolerate your light, but help it grow. That's the difference between toxic attention and real connection. One shrinks you, the other expands you, so choose wisely, protect your peace, and never apologize for walking away from someone who enjoys watching others fall. 8. Isolation as a weapon. Marcus Aurelius once said, "We are made for cooperation like feet like hands. Our strength lies in connection. But to an evil person, that bond is something to break. Because when they isolate you, they control you, and the first step is cutting you off from those who care about you. It often begins with gentle suggestions. Your friends don't really get you, or your family just doesn't understand you. It sounds caring, but it's a trap. Over time, you start pulling away from trusted people, not because they changed, but because your perception of them was slowly poisoned. I had someone do this to me, casting doubt on every relationship I valued. Eventually, I felt alone, emotionally dependent on just one voice. That's exactly what they wanted. Isolation is one of the most dangerous tools of manipulation. Once you're cut off, you lose perspective. You stop hearing the truth from others, and start seeing yourself only through the lens of the one who controls you. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Epictetus reminded us that we are meant to grow in community, not in isolation. Real strength comes from healthy relationships that reflect your worth, not toxic dependence that rewrites it. So how do you protect yourself? Pay attention. If someone is pulling you away from your support system, it's not love, it's control. Ask, are they encouraging deeper connection or quietly destroying it? You're allowed to rebuild. You're allowed to reach out. And you're allowed to walk away from anyone who makes you feel small for staying connected to those who love you. Because real connection doesn't isolate, it empowers. 9. Jealousy in disguise. Seneca once wrote, "Envy is the ulcer of the soul." And jealousy, especially when disguised as concern, can be deeply toxic. Evil people rarely show their envy outright. Instead, they hide it behind subtle remarks, half-hearted praise, and advice that's meant to hold you back, not lift you up. Have you ever celebrated something meaningful, only to be met with a friend who said, "That's great, but don't let it go to your head"? I knew someone like that. Every time I reached a milestone, she'd offer praise followed by a quiet dig, something to make me question myself. Over time, I realized her compliments weren't support. They were competition in disguise. That's the danger of hidden jealousy. It masks itself as care, but behind the smile is someone who can't stand your success. An evil person doesn't always want to see you fail. They just don't want to see you grow beyond them, and they'll do anything to keep you small. Marcus Aurelius reminded us not to measure our worth by others' opinions, especially those rooted in insecurity. Stoicism teaches us to ground our value in integrity, not approval. You don't have to accept every compliment. Some are designed to dim your light, not celebrate it. Ask yourself, Do I feel uplifted around this person or subtly diminished? Real friends want to see you shine. They don't feel threatened by your growth. They're inspired by it. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. You are not too much. And your rise isn't something to hide. It's something to honor. 10. The Unrepentant Heart. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. But what if someone refuses to be one? When a person harms others, breaks trust, and feels no remorse, that's not a mistake, it's a mindset. One of the clearest signs of an evil person is an unrepentant heart. They don't just deny their wrongs, they defend them and repeat them without shame. For them, self-reflection is weakness, and apologies are just tools to regain control." Have you ever been hurt by someone who, when confronted, made you feel guilty for even speaking up? I've experienced that. I once confronted someone who lied to me, not with anger, but honesty. They didn't apologize. They blamed their past, their stress, anything but themselves. I walked away, feeling unheard. And worse, ashamed for expecting accountability. That's what unrepentant people do. They flip the truth to protect their pride. They don't grow because they don't believe they need to. While the rest of us learn through mistakes, they dig deeper into denial. They cast themselves as the victim and use their refusal to change as a weapon. But Stoic wisdom offers us another way. Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." That's why they remain stuck. They've already decided they're right. So, what do? You stop waiting for an apology. You protect your peace. Not everyone is willing to grow, and not everyone deserves access to your heart. You don't need to beg for understanding or explain your pain. If they keep hurting others without regret, that's not someone going through a rough patch. That's who they are. Your peace, your growth, and your integrity are sacred. Guard them. Real strength isn't fixing people who refuse to change. It's knowing when to walk away. You think, it's unsettling, but awareness is where freedom begins. Evil thrives in silence, but once you recognize the signs, manipulation, charm, lies, blame, control, it loses its grip. You stop doubting yourself, you take your power back. Marcus Aurelius taught that strength lies in mastering your thoughts and reactions. You don't have to fix anyone. You just need to protect your peace and move forward with clarity and strength. The more you understand yourself, the harder it is to be manipulated. And when you surround yourself with people of character, it becomes easier to see who doesn't belong. If this video brought you value, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video where your journey of wisdom continues.